Good afternoon. My name is Jessica Jansen. I'm the development coordinator for the Mountain Lion Foundation. We are thrilled to have you with us today as we welcome our next guest, Dr. Patrick Lendrum. A little bit about Patrick. Patrick is the senior specialist for the World Wildlife Fund's Northern Great Plains program. He leads the development of science priorities for the program, implementing projects to answer key scientific questions that address the loss of native grasslands and the impacts that these losses may have on the wildlife and human communities that depend on them. Prior to joining the WWF, Patrick earned his MS and his PhD examining the effects of human-caused land use on wildlife communities and ways to minimize disturbance while promoting sustainable development. He has worked across the Western US in a variety of habitats, spanning coastal rainforests to prairie grasslands, with species ranging from insects to grizzly bears. The research Patrick has been involved with has been featured in National Geographic magazine, BBC documentaries, and published in numerous peer-reviewed scientific articles. He's thrilled to be joining us to discuss his experience with the Teton Cougar Project. Welcome, Patrick.
Great, thank you, Jessica, for that introduction. Share my screen here briefly. All right, great. And thank you to the Mountain Lion Foundation too for hosting this series of talks. Education is arguably one of the most important things we can do for conservation. And so this is just so important. And I'd also like to thank everybody that's here today to listen to this, taking the time out of, I'm sure, your busy days. So that's appreciated as well. So today I will be talking about work that I previously used to be a part of, the Teton Cougar Project. This is part of Panthera's Puma program, which is still an active program taking place today, directed by Dr. Mark Elbrock. And so I'll be fortunate enough to share some of the information that we worked on a number of years ago. It's also important to note too, while I do currently work for WWF, this talk today, the research, my thoughts have nothing to do with WWF. So important to make sure there's a distinction there too. So with that, we'll jump right in. So Jessica gave a great overview. Thank you very much of what I do. Traditionally, I consider myself a wildlife biologist, though I really like this screen. Sort of highlights a good perspective of what society thinks of wildlife biologists, but also to some extent highlights bits and pieces of my life building up to where I am today. This bottom right corner really is most of what I do today, but I'll also be talking more about this what I think I do screen, which is actually what I did for a while as well. And so you're all here today to talk about mountain lions, cougars, pumas, catamounts, call them what you will, lots of different names that they go by. But the mountain lion, or cougar as I'll probably refer to it for the most part, is a obligate carnivore. Right? So they eat meat. They specialize on eating meat, and everything about them is built to do that. Right? You just see them, see their frame, their power, their sleekness. They are an incredible animal, whether you're looking at them from the side or straight on. Sorry, I just got to move this box out of the way. They are built to hunt. Right? We see this in our domestic house cats too. As fun and loving and cuddly as they are, they're also incredibly athletic. And this goes from the tail all the way to the skull. And so the skull of a mountain lion, compact, big front teeth, meant for chomping, grabbing. And if you think of a mountain lion, kind of their jaws are short, compact, powerful, as compared to a wolf or a canid, which are longer, not as much power in the front. And so really everything about this animal is meant to be an efficient, silent, stealthy predator. This can be part of what puts them into conflict with people too, right? Is that they are a predator and we need to learn how to coexist with them. And they also have these incredible claws. So being ambush predators, stealthy, they hide, they wait, something goes by, they jump out at it without knowing, they're able to grab on, clamp down, and make a quick, efficient kill. This is what allows mountain lions to be solitary hunters. Solitary for the most part. There is plenty of research out there showing that they hang out with each other more than we think. And then keeping that ambush stealth, they're able to take down prey much larger than themselves. And briefly here, I will play this. I'll have a few videos throughout the day or the presentation. Whoops, let me go back. And this sort of speaks to that portrait of a predator, right? These sleek, beautiful, incredible animals, stealthy, light on their feet, moving through the woods, often hardly seen, rarely heard. But then they're also a cat, right? So they're playful, they're goofy, they have individual personalities, and behaviors that mimic what we're familiar seeing with our house cats. They roll around, they scratch, they lick. In the background, you can see another little one of her kittens feeding too. And then again, being predators. So this is an adult mountain lion on a kill that she made. It's an elk carcass buried under there. So they have hunting behaviors, and then they have feeding behaviors. So they'll cache their kills, they'll cover them in debris, they'll protect them. And these are all just bits and pieces of mountain lion ecology, what I'll be talking about today. It's also worth noting too, I don't have photo credits in here, but most of the pictures, videos you see in here are from Mark Elbrock as well, and from the Panthera Puma program from our time on this project. But as much as I talked about them being a large carnivore, they are not the biggest thing out there. So here's another video. A lot of the presentation and information I'll be sharing today is from work that we collected. We put video cameras out at mountain lion kill sites for the project. I'll go into more detail in a minute. Excuse me, but that's where these videos come from. So your video did not freeze. This mountain lion stopped eating, looked up, it hears something. With those big ears, they're always on alert. And it's sensing what's coming, trying to understand. Should it keep eating? Does it need to fight? Should it run away? I'll let you speculate. What do you think's happening? The title might give this away to the slide here. We'll just give her a minute. Okay, so fight or flight, she is walking away. And if we keep watching, you can take a look at that clock too. So that's at 20:0. This is a time. Whoops. It's going to take a while if I froze the video here. Okay. And so black bear came in. And so that's 17 minutes later it took for this black bear to come into that kill and find it. But that mountain lion knew it was coming, and she left. And so mountain lions are often referred to as subordinate carnivores. Again, they are not the biggest thing in the woods. They do roam large ranges in the North and South America. And black bears in North America encompass most of their range too. What I'll be talking about today is the Teton Cougar Project, TCP. And so this project took place in Northwest Wyoming. It began in 2000, 2001, and continued for 12 or so years. I put that plus there because we are still working on this project, analyzing the vast amounts of data that came out of this. This was really an informative project that helped our understanding of cougar ecology, management, and conservation. Over the course of the project, I say we, there were many more people involved than myself, but collared 94 cats over the course of that project, including additional unmarked kittens, as well as some marked kittens, which I'll talk more about as well. So like I mentioned, Northwest Montana, but this was in and around Grand Teton National Park. And so you can see Yellowstone National Park, many people are familiar with. Below it is Grand Teton National Park, arguably one of the most scenic parks in the US. I might be slightly biased, I do love that place. And then this circle indicates where we were working. And so this is an incredible landscape, both in terms of land ownership, management, and also terrain. So the Grand Teton Park, big majestic peaks. To the west here, this black box is more or less our study areas. Mountain lions don't know imaginary boundaries, so they obviously came and went throughout that as well. But it's bordered to the north by the Teton Wilderness, to the south by the Grovant Wilderness. Excuse me. There's Greater Teton National Forest running really the center of it, and the National Elk Refuge. So a lot of different management styles, managers, and then all these lighter colors are private landowners within this landscape as well. So really a complex landscape out there. And like I mentioned, it wasn't me doing this by any means. This is a huge team effort over a long period. I just highlighted a few names here, but many more people were a part of this project. Mark Elbrock and Howard Quigley work for Panthera currently. The other folks here were members of the team, and some still are today. And then again, outside of Panthera, we worked with Wyoming Game and Fish, Greater Teton National Forest, Grand Teton National Park, and the National Elk Refuge. Again, these individual animals, the mountain lions, would move between all these landscapes. So for a project this size, running this long, it really was a huge collaborative team effort. And during the course of the study, we had a lot of questions. We wanted to learn as much as we could from these individual mountain lions that we were following, tracking, learning. And I won't go into all of this today. This could be would take way too long. So I'll just highlight on a few of these. But there has been a lot of research published from this group. If you're interested in the scientific literature, it's out there. You can go to Panthera's website and learn more about the Teton Cougar Project as well as their other projects. Today, I'll really focus on this top one, some predation aspects, the spatial ecology or home ranges, so where on the landscape do mountain lions live, and then this bottom one as well, so community ecology. How do mountain lions live in a landscape where there are things bigger than them, wolves and bears in particular, and then also a diverse prey community, so elk, deer, bighorn sheep, moose, etc. And so I've mentioned this a few times now too. You probably noticed in the video there were collars on the mountain lions. And what we used for this project were GPS, Global Positioning System collars. And so this technology, it's been around for a little while, but it is incredible. You're able to fit the animal with the collar. These don't cause harm or pain. They don't constrict them or limit their hunting or anything. The animals really move around just fine with them. And the data that we get from it is incredible. And so the collar will send a signal up to a satellite, just like your phone or your handheld GPS when you're hiking. And then that satellite will send that signal back to our computers. So I can be sitting where I am right now, Bozeman, Montana, and tracking a mountain lion that's down in Wyoming. And you get near real-time data. So you can see where that animal is on the landscape, depending how often you're getting those GPS locations. Prior to this, we had to use what was known as VHF telemetry, so very high frequency telemetry. And you can see me on the left there holding a little antenna. You go out in the woods and you listen for, again, the mountain lion has a collar, but instead of a GPS signal, it just sends a little beep, beep, beep. And so you go out in the woods, you climb mountains, you hold your antenna, you spin around, and you listen for that beep, beep, beep. And then you try to figure out where it is. And so you'll do that as one mountaintop, like this picture on the right, and you'll say, all right, it's this way. But you don't know how far that way. So then you have to go to another mountaintop, try again. Okay, it's still down there. Now we know it's in this general area. And you go to a third spot and you triangulate that. And so you can say, all right, we know with some certainty that it's more or less way out here. And it doesn't really tell you much more than a general idea of where that animal is. With technology like this, you can get maybe 1 to 3 locations a week. With this GPS data, we can get hourly fixes, sometimes even more. And this is 1 week of data for one mountain lion. And we knew where that mountain lion was moving that whole time. So really incredible tool for conservation. What you can also do is connect those dots. So put a path. So you can tell, start of the week, the mountain lion was here. It then zigzagged around. It spent a lot of time in here. So that might make you wonder, what was it doing? Was it sleeping? Was it eating? And then it moved on. And you can see a couple of these little, what are known as GPS clusters. And I'll talk more about those too. And by the end of the week, that animal kept moving and was way down here. So pretty amazing what you can learn from this technology about all sorts of animals too. This isn't restricted to mountain lions by any means. And so how do we do it? So to put a collar on an animal, you need to catch it. For this project, we would use professional houndsmen that were trained with trained dogs to help us find the scent of mountain lions and then chase them up the tree. We would then follow the dogs to the tree, find the mountain lion. You would shoot it with a tranquilizer dart. And on this project, before that animal was woozy or in a dangerous situation, we would climb up into the tree and help to lower it down. So the animals weren't hurt during this process. If they were in a bad situation, we would leave them alone, walk away, and let that animal go. It was really a great, responsible team that we worked with for this project. The other way we would do this was with what are known as cage traps. So similar to what someone might set up in your yard, right? Catch a skunk or a raccoon or a possum or even a mouse. You set up a cage, you put bait in the back, the mountain lion walks in, that cage door closes, and then we're able to go out there, tranquilize that animal, safely pull it out of the cage, put the collar, take measurements, and let it go about its way. You could only do this during some times of the year because if bears are active or other larger animals, it could cause harm to the animal. So we would only use this in the middle of winter when it was safe for the mountain lions. We were out there the whole time listening, waiting, so that animal was never in that cage for a long period. And it was another really effective tool to help us learn about mountain lions and contribute to the conservation. And then what was unique about this project too, is that we were also, like I mentioned, capturing kittens. And we had these little custom-made expandable elastic collars that you could put on a kitten. And as that kitten grew, the collar grew. And so it really was pretty unique at the time for this research. And this is so important too in understanding the whole life cycle of the mountain lions. So you might know what an adult does, how it gets killed, is it hunted, does something else kill it? But really it's those kittens, right? The young of the year of the population that contribute to the mountain lion population. And so if that population isn't increasing, why not? And without knowing the fate of the kittens, it's really hard to tell. So we were able to use this information as well to help understand the mountain lion population. And through working with the houndsmen, with the mountain lions, with the collaborators in the region, we're actually able to understand what the population of mountain lions are, what their population trajectory was, and work with the state agency to lower the mountain lion harvest to increase the mountain lion population. And without these tools, that really wouldn't have happened. And so to talk about the research questions that I posed, I'll go into a little more detail of these three. So what defines the home range of a mountain lion? Where do they live? How do they choose where they are on the landscape? As you saw across that area, huge landscape. They could be where they want, essentially. And then what are they eating while they're out there? And so this is important from a management population or management situation, a conservation situation, to know what they're eating, how much they're eating, is the prey base available? Again, this can be where animals, mountain lions, come into conflict with humans too. If there's a lot of non-native prey, livestock, and not a lot of native prey, you can have conflict. So understanding what they eat and how much they eat is important. And then lastly, which was really a neat piece of this project, was what is the ecological role of mountain lions? So not just what are mountain lions doing, but how are they contributing to the landscape as a whole? And so I'll go into that too. So the first piece, what's important in a cougar's home range? And so if you look in this picture and look closely in the middle, there you'll see a mountain lion. And it is incredible how well they're able to blend into their surroundings. Right? This is just a couple of sticks. It's snowy. You think it would stand out like a sore thumb, but really you have to almost squint to be able to see that mountain lion in there. And so to answer these questions, again, we use the GPS data. You need to know where on the landscape that animal is or where it was. And so these dots are all GPS locations on the landscape. These blue are lakes. So just give you an idea, we're looking down at a landscape. The gray colors are elevation. And so each of these dots represents a location for one animal at one period of the year. And what you can do then is put sort of these bubbles or these home ranges around those locations. And so this is what's known as a 95% fixed kernel home range. Essentially, that means we have pretty good confidence that that animal was within these bubbles 95% of the time that we were following it. You can refine this one step further too, and look at what are known as core home ranges. So again, if we put those dots back on the screen, where these lighter colors are, is where that animal spent the top 50% of its time. So spent the most of its time, and then it would move through these green areas from one core area to another. So something about these core areas are important to that mountain lion. And like I said, the project collared 94 mountain lions, maybe more by the end, over the course of the study. And for all of those that we had good GPS data, we put home ranges too. And so these aren't all animals on the landscape at one time. This is over the course of that 10 years, many different animals, sometimes the same animal for multiple years. But it really gives you an idea of how these mountain lions are using the landscape in the region and where they were concentrated. It's also worth noting that we were concentrating our efforts in this area because that was our study area. We could then use this information to, like I said, create those population estimates. And if we were just catching animals in sporadic places across, you wouldn't get as good of detail that can be used towards conservation efforts. And I won't go into great detail of what all of these numbers are, but I wanted to put this up here to show you what we can do with this data. So we were able to look at these 95 and 50% or core home ranges for males and females. We looked at the average mountain lion size, and just to give an idea, 617 square kilometers, that's roughly 150,000 acres. So huge areas that these mountain lions would move. Quickly, you can see too that these 95% home ranges are larger than the 50s. So again, speaking to that core versus big area. We also looked at what we called hunt opportunity, but prey availability, distance to water. Water is also often important, either a refugia, travel source, prey may use it. So it's good to understand how mountain lions use that. Distance to roads, sort of a proxy of human disturbance. And do mountain lions avoid roads or do they use them as travel routes? Also terrain ruggedness is this VRM, vector ruggedness measure. And so are they selecting more rugged terrain? Maybe they can hunt better, maybe they can hide better, escape. And then also the big one too in this area, since this did have a complete or does have a complete carnivore community, there's wolves, grizzly bears, black bears, mountain lions, the whole suite. The occasional wolverine even moves through the area. So how are mountain lions using that landscape relative to wolves? And so dissecting a few of these into a little more detail. So here in green is a male mountain lion home range. And in this sort of painful in the eyes pink color is a female home range. And hopefully the first thing jumps out to you is that the male home range is much larger. And so these ABCDs are a way to statistically test that, even though we can look at that and say, yes, that's different. If you put numbers to it, it's showing that these are all different sizes. So male and female and core and not, descending in size there. And so why is a male home range so much larger than a female? For some, this might be obvious. For others, maybe less so. And so it's worth explaining. And so males have huge home ranges so they can access females. So they have breeding opportunities. So they can keep that population going. And here, again, this was a camera that we had set up on a kill site. So under this big pile of snow, this cached snow, it's known as, is a dead elk that this female mountain lion, 100-pound female, killed. And this is a male mountain lion that we had collared. He was about 165 pounds at the time, so big mountain lion moving into this female's kill site. And this little ferocious one, that's a kitten, right? So that one's probably about 3 months old at this time. And you can see he is not backing down to this big male mountain lion. This little one had an ear tag that was numbered M80. And so it's sort of fun, this little firecracker, right? Clearly not scared. This sort of goes counter to what a lot of people think, and even the science shows or suspects, is that male carnivores will come in and kill the young so that they can breed with that female and know then that the young will be theirs. That didn't happen here. And later through genetics, we learned that this male mountain lion was the father of this kitten with this female. And so again, with this data, we were able to get genetic samples, test those later, and learn who was related in this landscape. In this project, we saw very little evidence of mountain lions killing offspring. And so again, to sort of drive home this point, this dark shadow is a male mountain lion home range, and these 4 colored ones are female home ranges, all at the same time, so the same year, animals that were collared at the same period. So that one male overlapped with 4 females. And so the next thing we asked, so again, vast landscape, huge variation in the topography. So you have mountaintops, forests, open hillsides, rocky outcroppings. Where are the mountain lions? Where are they safe? Where are they able to hunt? Are they selecting refugia? Do they need to hide their kittens? Do they need to hide the adults? Does rocks give them better ambush opportunities? Again, are they trying to find places where they can sleep and feel safe? This is a female with her rather large kittens, all at the base of a tree, sleeping together, well, playing, but also sleeping together at times. And it was pretty interesting. So again, we don't need to get into the specific numbers here, but what this is showing us is that looking at barren or rocky habitat, big meadows, shrub landscapes, forests, and then riparian or creek areas, wet areas, that mountain lions did not select any habitat more than it was available. So that means they used that entire landscape where they were relative to its availability. So again, those male home ranges that I showed, huge areas, and those animals were moving across all habitats. So that was, I would say, a surprising finding. You often think of mountain lions secretive, they only use forests, but no, they really move across everywhere. They're just stealthy wherever they go. So the last question I mentioned, refugia from wolves. Right? Are mountain lions hiding from wolves? The old cat and dog dynamic. This not only plays out at home, though I'm sure we all know a cat that is going to stand up to any dog and chase away any dog, but typically cats run from dogs, right? So does that hold in nature too? And what we found is that it does. Mountain lions are actively avoiding wolves in this area. And so this bottom area, this study area, this is showing on average how far mountain lions are from known wolf packs, just on average, if they were on the landscape evenly. And what these numbers indicate is that mountain lions are further away from wolves than you would expect based on the average of the landscape. And I'll show this in a picture because these numbers aren't always easy to interpret. But again, being a biologist, a scientist, I need to throw these in the talks. And hopefully some of you enjoy it as well. So if we look at this from a picture, these wolf heads indicate known center points of wolf packs. So again, as a big collaborative project, we were able to work with the local biologists, Wyoming Game and Fish, National Park Service, and they shared data with us of where those wolves were. These colored areas are, again, those mountain lion home ranges. And so looking at this, hopefully it's clear that the wolf home range is here, or center of their home range, here and here. And most of that mountain lion home range is away from those wolves. And same with this one. Most of that home range, again, away from this wolf pack. So they are actively choosing where they are in the landscape relative to where wolves are, more so than what that habitat type is. So pretty amazing to understand that, how that dynamic plays out. This also has big implications for areas where wolves might be either being restored or moving back into after being extirpated. So in a lot of places, mountain lions were that top carnivore. Bears, wolves were killed out. Mountain lions were more secretive and able to live. Their populations increased. And as wolves came back in, mountain lion populations decreased back to what they probably historically were. Some recent research by Mark and the rest of the Panthera team and others came out last year showing this is in fact the case, that wolves can limit mountain lion populations to healthy numbers. So that sort of complete ecosystem balance is in function. And so again, a little video for you here. Like it alludes to at the top, mountain lions are not the top predator. So this is another kill that a mountain lion had cached. That mountain lion that just ran away was actively feeding. That is a relatively large male mountain lion too. And so he took off for some reason. And these videos that we set up with those GPS locations, when there's a cluster, a group, if you look close to, you can see the mountain lion in the background here, climbing up those rocks. So we would go out to that kill site, suspected kill site, see what it was. The mountain lion would move off. We could put a video camera, and then we could leave quietly as quickly as possible. And with the cameras, we knew that mountain lion would come right back. We were not a big disturbance. So hopefully you saw that mountain lion sleek off there. We'll give this just a minute. I think you know what's coming. And sure enough, here comes a large wolf. And look at this wolf's behavior. So there is a dead elk under there that wolf could start feeding on. It's clearly winter time, harsh conditions, food is limited. That wolf is not looking for that food. It is looking for the mountain lion. And I mentioned those little GPS, or excuse me, the little collars that we put on the kittens too. So with those kitten collars, we were able to learn that wolves are one of the main predators, main killers of mountain lion kittens before they're big enough to climb up trees. So that's part of the reason why mountain lions are so quick to avoid where wolves are. It is safer for the whole family that way. And so what are they eating? So I just mentioned these GPS clusters, right? So anywhere that wolf, or excuse me, that mountain lion was for a certain amount of time, left a collection of GPS points, we could go in there and see what happened. Without these collars, we wouldn't know. Oops. Sorry, just froze for a second there. And so we investigated nearly 600 kill sites by mountain lions. And what do we find? Over half of the time, mountain lions were eating elk. In this region, that makes perfect sense. Elk are the most abundant prey in the Grand Teton National Park area, that national elk refuge that I mentioned. Thousands of elk will go to that area every year. And so they are the main prey source. For mountain lions, for wolves, there are just a lot of elk in that region. And then next is deer. So almost 30% of their diet is deer. Moose, pretty interesting one too. We did see some moose kills by mountain lions. Bighorn sheep during certain parts of the year where their habitats would overlap. And pronghorn, the fastest mammal in North America. Mountain lions were able to hunt them because of that ambush strategy that I mentioned earlier. And then coyotes too. There are other prey items, small prey items that aren't included in here. We had some mountain lions that would preferentially select beaver. So they would wait by rivers or beaver lodges and eat beaver. Some would eat porcupine. They'd climb up trees, grab porcupines and pull them out. We even had a few mountain lions that died from porcupine quills. They'd get embedded, go through them and cause infections. They would eat squirrels, rabbits, but these are really those main prey items that they would select for. And so do males and females eat different prey? So female mountain lions here, males here, those main prey items that I mentioned. And then over here, again, statistics, if this is less than 0.05, there is a statistical significance. So all these 0.01s, 0.1019, 0.014 indicates that there's a difference between males and females. And so bighorn sheep, this was a female mountain lion specialty. There was no proportion of the male mountain lion diet that included bighorn sheep. So female mountain lions liked sheep. Again, bighorn sheep, these are the native sheep to the region. Deer, again, female mountain lion ate more deer than male mountain lion. They both ate elk. Male mountain lion ate moose. Female mountain lion ate pronghorn and small prey. So hopefully you're seeing a pattern here. Females tend to be smaller than male mountain lions. They tend to select smaller prey aside from elk. We did, again, following all of these 600 kill sites, we had one instance where a mountain lion preyed on domestic livestock. And that was one young male mountain lion that dispersed out of the area, traveled to a new area, killed one sheep, ate it, and then we kept tracking him. The landowner allowed us to keep going out there, and he never killed another prey, domestic prey item for 2 more months for as long as that collar lasted. So in our system, it was rare. There were cattle that free range throughout parts of the region too, but a cow is a large animal, right? And when there are abundant populations of elk, deer, bighorn sheep, mountain lions were selecting those native prey instead of domestic prey. How about during the season? Is there a difference? So summer and winter. And again, same statistics over here. And yes, we did see a difference. So in particular, deer, right? So in the summer, female mountain lion ate a lot more deer than in the winter. And conversely, in the winter, mountain lions ate more elk than in the summer. And this held true as well for males. So in the summer, males ate more deer, and in the winter, males ate more elk. So why might this be? Well, the Tetons, Yellowstone, Montana, Wyoming, very seasonal, harsh winters, hot, dry summers, the prey move around. Right? We know about elk, deer migrations. And so on the left here in the green, the green is where deer would be in the summertime. And so they were widespread, lots of deer. Again, these black lines are mountain lion home ranges. So lots of deer in that home range. In the winter, that picture changes. These green pockets, low elevation where deer would go to, but much less of that available in the mountain lion home range in the winter. So it makes sense when deer are present, mountain lions eat deer. Conversely, with elk, again, in the winter time, let's just focus on this one. Green is where the elk are in the winter. And you see there's a lot of overlap with that mountain lion home range, the black line, in the winter for elk. So they're eating elk in the winter because they're present. And so we know they eat different things during different times of the year. What does that do for how much they kill? Do they need to kill more deer than they do elk? Or are they able to subsist off of what they are killing year-round, same numbers? And what we found is that there really wasn't a difference. So that was somewhat surprising too. On average, they're eating just under 1 ungulate per week. Doesn't really make sense that way. So easier to think about 50 ungulates per year. And this was regardless of season, of species. And so think about that for a minute. All right, so elk, much bigger, much more food. You'd think they would maybe need less elk or more deer, deer being smaller, but they don't. And why is that? So again, in this system, this gets back to the idea that mountain lions are not that top predator. They're able to make a kill, they're able to eat as quick as they can, but then maybe a bear comes in the summer, or maybe a wolf comes in the winter, and that mountain lion won't defend its kill. It will run off. So it will eat, hopefully get its fill, and then something else might come in. So it doesn't often get a chance to eat that entire animal, even though it will hide it, come back time and time again for as long as it can. Something else might come in and take that from it. And so this gets to the point of mountain lions and their ecological role. So the keystone species concept, this might be best known for wolves, as shown here. If you've heard about the wolf reintroduction to Yellowstone and how that changed everything, that indicates that wolves have a disproportionate impact on their ecosystem. So without them there, things change. When they are there, things also change, but disproportionately to having other animals present. Beavers are another great example of a keystone species, right? They build dams, they change the waterways. It's an important waterway for other species to come into and use that, right? So they really disproportionately change the landscape. So our question was, do mountain lions in this system play that role as well? And one way we looked at this, again, was with these cameras. So when you put a camera up at a kill site, as I've alluded to, you learn what comes in. And so I have another short video I'll play here for you while I talk over it. If I can find the button. All right, so this is an elk that a mountain lion had killed, moved into the trees as much as it could to try to hide it. But sure enough, a bear found it. And if you look closely, there's another bear in the background. Again, there were grizzly bears and black bears in this area. So I'll let you ponder if you think this is a grizzly or a black bear. Again, look at ears, coat color. Does it have a big hump? How big are the claws? And this one's a little misleading. This is actually a black bear, so a light colored black bear. So clearly, bears are coming into kill sites. Here again, we have a wolf coming into the kill site. If you look closely, you might see another one run around in the background. There it goes, back in the trees. You see some magpies jumping around. And so while wolves do come in and look for that mountain lion, they'll also come back in once they know the mountain lion's not there, and they'll feast. They'll scavenge on that mountain lion kill. If your volume's turned up, you might hear this. So that's a bald eagle and a golden eagle on a cached mountain lion kill with a bunch of magpies. We'll slow that down because that's pretty incredible. So they talon lock, the bald eagle pulls the bigger golden eagle off the kill. So this is a resource to defend and fight over. Those mountain lions are providing food to all these different animals. Here again, we have a golden eagle defending that kill against a coyote. And those golden eagle talons are huge. And so this coyote is taking a beating, and it's worth it to come in and try to get a meal. You can see these sneaky little magpies running in, flying in too, when they get a chance to grab a bite. So in the winter, prey is limited. Red foxes, a lot of red fox in the area. And it was actually pretty incredible how quick fox would be at a kill site once that mountain lion made it. So the mountain lion would make the kill, eat its fill, hide it, sleep in the bushes, and while it was sleeping, the fox would come in. And you can see how alert they are, looking around. They don't want to get caught by that mountain lion, but they need a meal. We actually have a theory that fox might even be following mountain lions around kill sites when there aren't other prey, voles, and mice available for them to feast on. And it's not just big animals, too. Small mammals will use these. This is a pine marten. Incredible little members of the weasel family. And so down behind him is this cached mountain lion kill. So martens will come in and eat on this. And other research that came out of here looking at this ecological role found that mountain lions provided more food to a wide diverse of species than any other carnivore that's been examined. So more so than wolves or bears. This is a Clark's nutcracker. So they specialize on eating white bark pine nuts, and it came into a mountain lion kill. Here we have a gray jay, also known as the camp robber. You can see it's pulling off meat. So birds, mammals. Wintertime covers kills. There's very little bit of prey available, but here's a red squirrel on a mountain lion kill. That's sitting on an elk leg bone. And if you see that closely in the middle, oops, that's a mouse running up and down that kill site. And in the bottom right, if you see something heaving, that's the mountain lion sleeping and breathing while the mouse is trying to get a meal. Reminds me of that riddle of the elephant and the mouse. I don't know how it goes, but you might. And so what they found in looking at all of this camera footage is that mountain lions provided food to over 39 species of birds and mammals and over 215 species of invertebrates. So insects using these kill sites too. So the food pulse that they provide to this landscape is just incredible. This has resulted in numerous graduate projects that we're working on this project. So helped advance other people's education, conservation, our understanding of the mountain lions. And it really was a great project. A lot came out of this and still is today. And so with that, I'll just leave you with this last little video and say thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. Hopefully you learned something. I had fun giving it. This is being recorded, so you can watch it, share it. So here, again, mountain lion kitten. You can see that antenna. So this is the collar that we put on mountain lions. Clearly, it's not affecting that kitten. He's having a fun time playing in the snow, ambushing mom while she's trying to eat her meal. And just fun behavior, things you learn from these videos that you don't often get a glimpse into these secret lives of mountain lions. So great familial bonds, relationships. This team also did incredible work looking at how much more social mountain lions are than we think they are. Again, like I showed in that other picture, females, males, kittens hanging out together. Really an amazing species. And so with that, I'll thank you and turn it back to Jessica if we have time for any questions.
Thank you, Patrick. So if you have any questions, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom and I will call on you one by one. Looks like our first question is from Sue.
Thanks. That was a good presentation. Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, sure can.
Okay. I had a question about the male female home ranges, and do the males mate with every female in that home range or as many as they can? And how long do those relationships last? Who migrates in and out of the area?
Yeah, great question. So yes, they do mate with as many as they have the opportunity to. There will also, though, be multiple males in that same area that are competing with those females too. Yeah. So that male needs to defend his territory against other males and also be appealing to those females. So I wouldn't say there's a one number fits all or a one number, a time frame, but males will mate with the same female over multiple years if they have that opportunity. It just depends on how those dynamics play out.
Are the home ranges dynamic like the wolves, wolf pack dynamics? Do they move around and switch around, or are they pretty stable?
Great question. I would say, well, it depends. It's not a satisfying answer. But yes, we would see one male that sets up a home range and then another bigger male comes in. So he'll move out and set up a new home range. Females tend to use the same area year after year more than the males, but the males will move around if they need to.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Next question is from Ben.
Hi, Patrick, that was a wonderful talk. I'm a scientist and I really like the way you present your material. I have two questions. One is that how long do these GPS transmitters last on a given animal? Mm-hmm. And the other question is, do you live in Bozeman?
Mm-hmm. I'll answer the second one first. Yes, I do live in Bozeman. That's where we're currently based out of with World Wildlife Fund. To the first question, so the GPS collars, they have different battery size packs, and it depends how many locations you're getting. So if you're getting a location every hour, it won't last as long as if you're getting a location every 6 hours or every day. Generally, the way we would try to do that is the collars would last for a full year. So we would program them accordingly. And then we would try to recatch the animal before the collar fell off or before it died, so that we could keep that research going. But generally a year is a a good length of time we would strive for. I will say too, there's neat technology now that's out where you can put solar panels on the back of the collar. Harder for mountain lions in this habitat because they are shaded a lot, but that will extend that battery life as well.
Next question, Marilyn.
Thank you for the super presentation. I don't know if this question, if I can get it straight, what impacts to both mountain lions, their populations and their general health does or do hunting have on them? And I mean hunting both with dogs, and I assume they're hunted by those who want to kill one without dogs, but maybe some are hunting just to photograph them. That's a kind of a convoluted multi-question for you.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say it depends, right? It's up to each state individually how they choose to manage the mountain lion population. Ideally, they're managing it in a sustainable way where they're trying to keep a healthy population that also provides that opportunity to hunters and houndsmen. Again, that's an ethical question, and everybody is there's a wide spectrum there. But on this project, we were able to work with Wyoming Game and Fish to make sure that the hunting quota was sustainable and that population was able to maintain at those numbers, so it wasn't detrimental to the overall population there. But it's widely variable by states, I would say. And you're correct, there are houndsmen that will hunt, also people that will chase for photographs. And then in some states, you're able to use snares as well, or traps.
Well, thank you for that. I was in California, hunting is not allowed at all I understand, I think,
Yep.
unless they get a permit. And I don't hear stories about populations just going out, increasing out of hand. And yet it's either Oregon or Washington, I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly, where they are claiming the mountain lion populations are just out of control. And I didn't think they allowed it either, but so I think your answer, it depends, is probably the best.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next question, Suzanne.
Go. Thank you. Do the individual home ranges of do male mountain lion home ranges overlap, or are they distinct? And question about females, and are there differences in that overlap between males and females, if any?
Yes. So males, they do tend to overlap. It's not the type of overlap like those pictures that I showed with 4 females overlapping 1 male, but they do tend to have some overlap on the edges, and they're always sort of testing each other's limits. And so they'll mark their territory, patrol their territory, try to keep males out, but another male's always trying to come in. So for the most part, they stay separate, but there will be some overlap. We did see instances too where you'd see multiple males at one kill site, which was pretty unique, but they are territorial as well. And then to the female mountain lion question, was that how females overlap each other?
Yes, how their home ranges, do they overlap more than those of males?
They do. Yep, much more. And we would see more females, and I hope I'm getting this right too, it's been a little while, but we would see more females at the same kill sites or overlapping home ranges than we would see males, certainly.
And does that territorial marking that you mentioned, that probably the scat and the scratching and all that, does that are those boundaries respected, or how often do you see like fights between males competing for or restricting their territories?
Yeah, they're tested. Certainly. So if it is one big dominant male, other males will learn pretty quick and he'll be respected. But if it's multiple males that are similar sizes or moving into a new territory, or if that dominant male is killed for some reason, those younger males will definitely test each other and have regular skirmishes until they figure it out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Cheryl, please ask your question.
Thank you again. Love the presentation. Thank you so much. I'm wondering any additional comments you might have about what you found out about very few males kill kittens. You know, that's a common misconception, and I don't know if you can apply it to all mountain lions, but could you talk a little bit more about that?
I can, not in great detail. Unfortunately, I don't have those numbers off the top of my head, but I think it's fair to say we were surprised by how often we would see males in areas with females that we knew had kittens, and those kittens would still survive. So I can't recall offhand how often that was a genetics thing. Was it the male of those offspring, or was it other males? I can't speak to that well, but some of the research we've put out there address those questions.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have some written questions here. Mike would like to know, how does the wolf home range size compare to Puma home range size?
Yeah, great question. So in that picture that I showed, that was just a known centroid of that wolf pack. It wasn't the whole home range. Wolf home ranges are variable. I'll just put it that way, depending on how many are in the pack. So sometimes they can be very large or range to pretty small, and there will be significant overlap with the size of a mountain lion. So I'm not sure of exact numbers, just trying to visualize the maps I've seen. I've seen ranges of both of them being all encompassing.
All right, thank you. One more. Are you aware of any similar studies done in the Southwest? Just curious how behavior varies where there might be less competition with large predators.
Yeah, great question. So there has been research done. That was part of what was unique about this study, is that there is this complex carnivore system in place. A lot of other research that's taken place, there aren't grizzly bears. There are black bears, but there often aren't wolves. And so this has taken place in the Southwest, in California, in the Northwest. Utah has done a lot of mountain lion research, looking at how mountain lions behave without these other big dominant prey sources. So yeah, there's great resources out there to look at the differences if you would like.
Next question is Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, it looks like you're muted if you're there.
Unmute. Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, sure can.
Oh, appreciate it. I live in San Diego, California, and we have mountain lions. We live up in Julian, and we butt up against a forest. We have a spring that comes up out of the ground where they drink from, and all the animals come there. And it's a beautiful thing to see that after our fire 2003, we lost all of our places in there, that they've all come back. But my question is, we have a game camera, so we're watching them. And I wanted to ask on the ear tags, does it mean a certain sex when you put it on the left ear, or if they're tagged on the right ear? I'm just kind of wondering that.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not something I can speak to. Every researcher does it different. So sometimes it'll be different ears, sometimes it'll be different colors, sometimes they'll have a number that starts with a different letter or number to indicate that. So yeah, without knowing specifically for that project.
Okay, appreciate that. I'll see some that are tagged and have a collar, and some just have a collar, and there's number of them that don't even have anything on, so it's neat to see them come back and all the animals come back. So I appreciate all that you do and so forth. So, and my husband used to sleep outside with them, on our deck, and had no problem with that until one came up, was chasing our feral cat.
Mhm.
The cat made it in because the window was open 24/7 for years, for that cat.
Uh-huh.
But he's talked to a mountain lion specialist because he misses sleeping outside under the stars.
Mhm.
And the mountain lion specialist just said, oh, he'll just probably come and lick you. But after my husband witnessing that mountain lion on the deck, because he opened the door and the mountain lion was 3 feet away, near his army cot, he doesn't sleep out there now. And the mountain lion was wonderful. He just took off. My husband yelled and it took off, had to jump a big leap. So
That's great. That is the usual behavior. They are cats that would rather run away than have a confrontation. That's exciting. You can see so many coming into that area. That's great.
And the last thing I hear is that they're tracking them in our area because I think with the border and the fence or something, there could be inbreeding, and they worry about the mountain lion, no longer being here,
Mhm.
dying from inbreeding or whatever. So I
Yeah.
don't know. It'd be neat to learn more about that, but I just try to keep my ears and eyes open. So I thank you for what you do and for having this first time on Zoom that I've ever been on. So thank you.
Great. Thank you for attending. Yeah, those physical barriers, roads, fences, they can cause problems for populations, bottlenecks, genetics. And there's been a lot of research in Southern California looking at that in particular.
We've got some more written in questions. Someone wants clarification. Do the collars ever fall off automatically on their own?
Mhm. Yeah, great question. And I didn't touch on that. They do. So every collar that we put out on an animal has what's known as an automatic release or a blow-off device. And so for whatever reason, we are not able to catch that animal again, that cougar is not stuck with that collar for its life. So after a certain amount of time, when the battery gets low, the collar will release and drop to the ground. And so that's one way it happens, a little mechanized device. And then for those kitten collars, the little elastic bands that I mentioned, once that kitten outgrows that, it will disintegrate and just fall off as well. Yeah, we've actually seen videos too where they might be on camera at the time when the collar falls off. And the reactions, sometimes they don't care, sometimes they're startled, sometimes they walk up and start licking it like it's become something they're familiar with. So it's pretty neat. Yeah, just individual behaviors.
Okay, next question. What are the primary causes of lion mortality in the study area?
In our area, the primary cause was wolves. They were the #1 factor limiting the mountain lion population.
Okay, and then let's see, Sherry asks, do you think that the wider expanse of territory is responsible for the absence of fathers killing kittens as opposed to the population in the Santa Monica Mountains having a higher incident, possibly due to limited space?
That's interesting. Interesting question. It sure could be. It could be competition, number of females that are present, number of males that are present. There could also be some response to the prey source that's there too. So when there's more prey, there's less competition amongst individuals. That's a great question.
Okay, looks like for now we have one more question. Mike, ask your question, please.
Hi, thanks for your talk. Really appreciate it. Do you ever use accelerometers with the GPS, or are you relying solely on the GPS data points? So in other words, like a cat that's in one specific area, are you looking, gathering data on, it moving around versus resting and things like that?
We have. For this project, we did some work with that, trying to look at correlations between when they're moving and what the accelerometer data shows. Can you understand if they were in a stalking movement, if they were resting, if they were running? So we have done a bit of that, looking for those, trying to sort of build an understanding of how that works. At the time, the accelerometer data was pretty variable. So some had the horizontal versus vertical movements. So I think it was something we were investigating, but never really were able to fully develop. It's
Great. Thank-
more work, I believe, has been done with that since my time on this project, and particularly Santa Cruz, I believe, has done a number of projects looking at that as well.
Great, thanks.
Mhm.
We have a written question. Do wolves kill adult lions or only kittens?
Mhm. Kittens most often. If they had the chance to kill an adult, they certainly would, but by the time the adults are able, or even the juveniles are able to climb trees, they're pretty safe from the wolves. So it would just more be a chance where they were caught somewhere off guard. But it did happen. And it also happened in the reverse. We had instances where mountain lions would kill wolves as well. And that's actually in northwest Montana. I won't say a common occurrence, but it's not an uncommon occurrence as well.
Let's see. And someone's asking, have you read the book The Beast in the Garden about Boulder, Colorado?
Mhm.
And if you have, they want to know your thoughts.
Sure. I have read it, and it's a great read. Certainly entertaining. It runs the risk, I feel, of sensationalism, where it can create unwarranted fears. But I thoroughly enjoyed reading that book.
Okay, and it looks like that's it for our questions. I'm going to hand it over to Jessica.
Thank you so much, Patrick. We really appreciate you being here. And that was a fantastic presentation. You know, no matter how much I know about mountain lions, there's always something new for me to learn. So I really appreciate that. So thank you for being here with us. And thank you to all of our attendees. We hope that you enjoyed this experience. I know that we did. If you're interested in future educational opportunities, please do visit our website and our events page. But thank you to everyone for coming. And thank you, Patrick. We hope we see you again. And everybody have a fantastic weekend.
Great. Thank you all. Take care.
Thank you.